This video is about a derivative function. Remember, the following means the same thing. Differentiate the following. Find the derivative of the following. Find dy by dx. Find f prime of x. Or sometimes we say y prime. Find the slope of a tangent line. Find the gradient of a tangent line. We will use the power rule to find the derivative. Here's the formula. You have a constant number, then the derivative equals to 0. When you do x to the nth power, do derivative, remember the rule, drop down minus 1. So we drop down this n, then n minus 1. So you will get this. For the function u of x, we have coefficient c. Then when you do the derivative, the c will stay the same, multiplied by u prime of x. Then we have addition rule of derivative. When you do the sum of two functions, the derivative, you will do that separately. Now let's look at some example. If we have x, do the derivative, x squared, do derivative, x third power when you do derivative. Then we have 1 over x, do derivative, 1 over x squared, we do derivative, 1 over x third power, we do derivative. Here's the exponents, drop down minus 1, so we have 1 x to the 0 power, that means 1. This one, drop down 2, then minus 1, so x to the first power, that means 2x. For x to the third power, I drop down, you get 3x squared. 1 over x, you have to change into power rule. That is x to the negative first power, we do derivative. Then drop down minus 1, you will get negative 1 times x to the negative second power, which means negative 1 over x squared. For this one, x to the negative second power, we do derivative. So drop down negative 2 x to the negative third power. Remember minus 1. So you get the negative 2 over x third power. For this one, x to the negative third power, we do derivative. Then drop down minus 1. That will be negative 3 times x to the negative fourth power equals negative 3x to the fourth power. More example, we have 1 over 8, we do derivative, you will get 0. But when you do 1 over 8x, do the derivative, you will get 1 over 8. For number 1, find the y prime. So we get the y prime equals 1 over 8, we do prime, minus 6x, we do prime, minus 3x to the fourth power, we do prime. Remember the rule, that is a drop down minus 1. Constant number is 0. This is the one for linear function will be the slope, so we get the negative 6. This one, minus, drop down, so 3 times 4, x to the third power. Get negative 6 minus 12, x to the third power. Now let's go to B. Y prime equal negative 9x to the fifth power, derivative, plus 5x, we do derivative, minus 1 over 3x to the negative fifth power, we do derivative, plus 6 times x to the negative second power, we do derivative. Drop down negative 9 times 5x to the fourth power. Then plus, this is a derivative of linear function is plus 5 minus, drop down, so 1 over 3 times negative 5 x, we do negative 6 power. Then plus 6 times negative 2 x to the negative third power. So we have negative 45 x to the fourth power plus 5. Negative negative will be positive. So we get plus 5 over 3. But negative exponents, you drop down x to the 6th power. Minus 12, then x to the 3rd power, because this is negative exponents. Let's go to C. We do distributive property first. You will get the negative 5x to 3rd power plus 3x to the 6th power. Then we do derivative. Get the negative 5x 3rd power to the derivative plus 3x to the 6th power, we do derivative. Drop down, minus 1. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15x squared. Plus, drop down, multiply. 3 times 6 is 18x to the 5th power. Now let's go to D. For the D, we have to do the FOIL first. So we do like this. You will get the 20x minus 24x squared minus 5x 3rd power plus 6x to the 4th power. Then we do derivative. You will get the 20. Linear function, the slope will be the derivative, minus 24 times 2 is 48x, minus 15x squared. Drop down, that's a 24x to the 3rd power. Let's go to number 2, find the dA by dt. dA by dt, which means t is the variable. So for A, we do distributive property, get the 40t minus 8t squared. Then we do dA by dt equals 40t minus 80t squared. So we have 40 minus drop down, that's a 16t. Look at the B. When you have this kind of problem, we do the FOIL first, then do the distributive property. FOIL part, I have 12t minus 42. Negative 3t times 2t minus 6t squared plus 21t. So we have equals 1/2 negative 6t squared plus 33t minus 42. This time we can do distributive property now. So you get negative 6 times 1/2, that's negative 3t squared. 33 times 1/2, that will be 33 over 2t. Then 42 divided by 2, that's 21. This time we do dA by dt. So we have drop down, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6t plus 33 over 2. That's it. Let's go to number 4. Differentiate the following with respect to x. For A, we will do y prime equals negative 2x to the negative 4th power. We do derivative. Then plus 6x to the negative first power, we do derivative. Minus 1 over 7x to the third power, do derivative. Minus 4 over 11, we do derivative. Using power rule, that's drop down minus 1, so we get the negative 2 times negative 4, that's 8. X to the negative fifth power. Then we have plus 6 times negative 1 is a negative 6. X to the negative second power. Minus, drop down, 1 over 7 times 3. Then it's x to square. This will be 0. Then we organize. 8 over x to the fifth power. Minus 6 over x squared. Minus 3 over 7x squared. Now let's go to B. We will do g prime of x equals negative 5x to the negative 7th power minus x to the 4th power, we do derivative, plus 7x, we do derivative, minus 9, we do derivative. So we have drop down negative 5 times negative 7, that's 35, x to the negative 8th power. Drop down minus 1, then minus 4x third power, plus 7. Linear function, the slope will be the derivative. This is gone. Now we organize 35 over x to the 8th power minus 4x third power plus 7. Now let's go to number 5. For this video, I will just work this out without calculator. Then I will make a video show you how to use calculator, get the answer directly. Now let's go to 5. If y equals 11 minus 5x minus 3x to the third power, find the derivative when x equals negative 3. So y prime equals 11, we do prime, minus 5x to the prime, minus 3x third power, we do prime. Then this will be 0. This will be negative 5. Here, drop down. So minus 9x squared. So we have f prime of negative 3. Plug in 3 into this x. Negative 5 minus 9 times negative 3 squared. So you get negative 86. Now let's go to B. Find the gradient of the curve. Y equals 6 minus x minus 7x squared at the point negative 236. So we focus on this negative 2. X equals negative 2. Therefore, you will get the y prime equals 6 prime minus x, we do prime, minus 7x squared, we do prime. So we have, this is 0, minus 1, minus, drop down, 14x. Now, you will get the f prime of negative 2. So we have negative 1 minus 14 times negative 2. You will get 27. So let's go to C. We will work on dA by dr first. So we have 3r to the derivative plus 11r to the negative second power, we do derivative. You will get the 3 plus, drop down, 11 times negative 2, that's a negative 22. R to the negative third power. So we have 3 minus 22 over r squared. Now I will working on a prime of 1. Plug in 3 minus 22 over 1 squared So you get the negative 19. Let's go to number 6. Point Q lies on the curve this function. The gradient of a curve at Q is equal to 13. When you see gradient, that means you will get the y prime derivative that equals negative 13. Find the gradient function of the curve. That means y prime equals. Let's work this out. So we have 6x minus 1. For B, find the x coordinate of Q. We know the y prime equals negative 13 at Q. Therefore, we will set up 6x minus 1. That's this derivative function equals negative 13. 6x, I add 1 both sides, negative 12. So x equals negative 2. Then we need to find the y coordinate of Q. Basically, y equals f of 2. So we plug in to the original function. 3 times negative 2 squared minus negative 2 plus 1. You will get 12 plus 2 plus 1. That's 15. Let's go to number 7. Point PA1 where a greater than 0 lies on the curve y equals x squared minus 4x minus 4. When you see the point lies on the curve, it just plug in. So x equals a, y equals 1. I plug in. You will get the 1 equals a squared minus 4a minus 4. You know this is a quadratic equation. We set up equal to 0. Minus 1 both sides. 0 equals a squared minus 4a minus 5. Then we factor this. A minus 5 times a plus 1. So you get the a1 equals 5, a2 equals negative 1. But this said a is positive. That's why this is the a. This one cross out. So a equals 5. Find the gradient function of the curve, which means we do the derivative for this. Y prime equals x squared prime minus 4x prime minus 4 prime. So you get the 2x minus 4. This is a 0. For B, we will write down y prime equals 2x minus 4. Look at the C. Show that at P, the gradient of a curve. When you see gradient of a curve, which means you got to use this gradient function. We plug in x, that's a equals to 5. Then we try to get the 6. So we have f prime of a, which means f prime of 5. We plug in 2x minus 4. 2 times 5 minus 4 equals 6. That's it. So this one shows that at P, the gradient of a curve is equal to 6. Now let's go to D. Point QCD is also on the curve at which the gradient of curve is equal to 8. Show that D equals 8, 2. When you see the point on the curve, we can plug in x equals C, y equals D. That's in this function. But they said the gradient of curve is equal to 8. I need to plug into this gradient function. That is x equal to C. Plug in here. You got the 2C minus 4 equals to 8. So 2C equals 12. C equals 6. After you get the C equals 6, then the D equals f of C, which means f of 6. So we plug into the original function, this one. You will get the 6 squared minus 4 times 6 minus 4. That is 36 minus 24 minus 4. You will get 8. Let's go to number 8. Consider the function this. Write down the f prime of x. That will be this prime. Here prime. 2 drop down, multiply by 5. That's 10x minus 1. Now for b, show that at x equals to 1, f of x equals to f prime of 1. So I will working on f of 1 first. 5 times 1 squared. I plug into original function. You will get the 5 minus 1 plus 5 equals to 9. Then we plug in 1 into this gradient function. You will get the 10 times 1 minus 1 equals to 9. So we have f of 1 equals f prime of 1. This is how you prove at x equals 1, f of x equals to f prime of x. Go to C. Find the coordinate of a second point. That means it's not x equals 1. We need to get another coordinate on the curve for f of x equals f prime of x. F of x equals 5x squared minus x plus 5. For f prime of x, that is here, 10x minus 1. You know this is a quadratic pattern equation, so we need to get equal to 0. Check the coefficient of x squared is positive. That's why I move everything to the left side. 5x squared minus x plus 5 minus 10x plus 1. Remember, when you move the term from one side, go to the other side, change the sign. So I combine like terms, you will get the 5x squared minus 11x plus 6 equal to 0. Then you can do ninja x. Here's a 30, negative 11 over 5 over 5. For 30, you will do 130, adding is not 11, 215, not 310, not 56. Yes, it is. But we need a negative 11, so negative 5, negative 6. Remember, reduce, so you get the negative 1, 1. Then we put the variable here, x. Do the bottom up. You will get the x minus 1, 5x minus 6 equal to 0. So you get the x1 equals 1, x2 equals 6 over 5. So I'm looking for the coordinate. Therefore, I have to do f of 6 over 5. Plug into the original function. 5 times 6 over 5 squared minus 6 over 5 plus 5. So we have 36 over 5 minus 6 over 5 plus 5. 6 plus 5 equals 11. The coordinate of a second point will be 6 over 5, 11.